207customs.com is your hub for all your HVA-Chicks merch needs. If you guys are looking for a hat, a shirt with the HVA-Chicks logo, a tumbler, HVA-Chicks radio show, you name it, it's on 207customs.com. Use code HVAC10 at checkout. If you're looking for quality, high-performance HVAC installation and service, reach out to Abraham Heating and Air. You can go to their website at abrahamheatingandair.com and book an appointment online. They are one of the best companies out there. They fully support HVA-Chicks Coalition and the HVA-Chicks radio show, and they are truly the place where quality meets comfort. Cielo Wi-Fi thermostats are the HVA-Chicks choice for all your mini split and conventional split needs. If you're not sure which Wi-Fi thermostat to choose Cielo. Want to kill 99.9% of contagions in commercial and residential spaces without creating ozone? Check out the Air Shield by Revive Air. Thank you, Revive Air, for supporting the HVA-Chicks radio show. Hello.
Welcome back.
Hello. So
we decided just to get those commercials right out of the way in the beginning so that we don't have to pause. I am lagging tonight hard, you guys. We tested my internet speed, and that's definitely the culprit. So we're just going to get through it. Hopefully recording, according to Adam, won't be laggy because we did a little thingy. Anyway, welcome back to the HVA-Chicks radio show. It has been so long since my mic is literally on the other side of the room right now. Okay. It has been so long since we had an episode because Val and I went on a random 3-week vacation we didn't plan on going on. And it's been one thing after another. So thank you guys for showing back up with us tonight. I know it's really hard to make sure that you're consistent when I'm not consistent. So I'm really, really, really happy to see everybody here in the chat. Just going to run through the chat real quick so we can say thank you to everybody that showed up. We've got Miss Susie Dunn. We love that girl so much. We got Jimmy in the chat. He was being a snob, didn't want to come on the show. We have Ty, love to HVAC. We have John Gantz, who's also on the show tonight. And yeah, whoever was here before I got into the chat, I'm sorry if I missed you. Nasty, looks like Nasty's here. Thank you guys for coming. So tonight it is Val and I, Danny and Johnny. The only one missing is Jimmy. And again, he was being a snob. So we wanted to talk about NCI. So National Comfort Institute is an absolutely amazing organization. I didn't personally know about them until 3 years ago. And realize they've been around forever. So I definitely should have known about them, but it's like kind of like HVAC's best kept secret. It's an amazing training organization. We're going to let Adam get into the reasons why, but we really wanted to have Adam on here to talk about that. Cause you guys all know Adam, obviously, as host of the the Overtime Show, which is my personal favorite, always has been, always will be. And if you haven't read the article that I wrote in the last Tactical magazine about HVAC overtime, go do it. It's got some great info in it. So welcome to the show, Adam. Thank you for being here. You want to just go through like a brief description of who you are in case anybody's living under a rock and doesn't know you? And then just kind of tell us what NCI is and what you guys do over there.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Adam Muffich. I have been in HVAC since about the year 2000. And a little over a year ago, I started working for National Comfort Institute. I've been doing mostly residential HVAC my entire career. And maybe about 5 years ago, I decided I really wanted to step up my game and take it to the next level. So I was going on this like journey to get different certifications and going through all these different classes and that. And then I got to a point where I wanted something different. And that's when I joined National Comfort Institute. And National Comfort Institute is a training organization. We have processes, procedures. We do different classes. We offer tech support to our members. So you don't have to be a member to take a class. But if you become a member, there's different benefits and perks in that. The classes, a lot of them are airflow. Some of them are refrigerant based. We do air balancing, kind of like ductwork redesign. How to diagnose issues with static pressure and this and that, so we kind of touch everything. Oh, we have a brand new heat pump class coming out in the fall.
So, woo!
Nice. That's nice.
Awesome. Yeah. So what I love the most about NCI is that when we talk about like right now in the high performance world, and I went on that same journey kind of at the same time you did, Adam, just because I didn't know about it until you introduced me to it all. And Adam taught me how to use Quick Model and, kind of introduced me to Measure Quick and all these things that I just didn't know that we were supposed to utilize in order to be good technicians. So in HVA-Chicks Coalition, now we get all of that out to all of our techs, luckily, but that all started with Adam's journey. So thanks for that, first of all. But what I love most about NCI is that we talk about, if the ductwork is too small or if the ductwork is not right, or if, on new construction, making it right, making sure that happens from day one. But the reality is that it usually already exists. There's usually not a whole lot we can do about it. And if we can, we need to do this, whatever little things we can do, we need to do the most impactful things that we can do in order to change the way that whole system runs and dehumidifies or humidifies, depending on what's going on in the house. And there is nowhere that you can get that information. That is what I have found on, YouTube University, even. There is no information out there that's accessible for people to learn how to address existing ductwork issues. But NCI is literally like the Wikipedia of addressing existing ductwork issues. That is my personal favorite thing about NCI. So Adam, if you can so from the point, can we look at it from the point of what you can do as a non-member and then kind of some of the things you get for being a member, and what does being a member even mean for those who will not know?
So anyone that takes any of our classes, you can call us. We give you our business card. You can feel free. We really say that we offer tech support up to 30 days after a class.
Wow.
But it's not like if somebody calls me, I'm not going to hang up the phone on them. You know what I mean? I'll, maybe if it gets to the point where they're abusing it and they're calling me every day. But
we know how that goes.
Yeah. So, but members, there's different types of memberships, and it's not like my forte, so I don't know all the different price points in that. But to be a member, you get unlimited tech support, and then there's different NCI partners. So if your business deals with different partners, like Daikin's one of them, I believe Conduit's another one, you earn NCI bucks, right? So NCI bucks can go towards training, or you could use it to attend Summit, that's coming up in September. So you could kind of spend it on, and actually Daikin, the partnership with Daikin, the amount of rewards you get is pretty substantial. So I was actually just talking to a friend of mine, and he went through and figured out what his NCI bucks would be, and he could easily send all of his technicians a couple times a year to training.
Wow. That's massive. That's a massive impact. All right. Danny, do you have any questions for Adam before I get into the real elephant in the room? Or Johnny, either one.
So for everybody that doesn't know, when is the summit this year?
Wait, that's the elephant.
Well, fine.
Okay, we can do it. We can do it.
Way to tell me what the elephant was before the show. Thanks. I thought it was my jersey that everybody keeps talking about.
No, that's the other elephant.
September 9th through 12th, and it's in Austin, Texas at the Kalahari. Yeah. So there's water slides and stuff, so you could bring your kids and have a grand old time while you're getting.
Wow. Are kids allowed at training?
I think they would need a ticket. I'm not sure how that would work out, but yeah.
So I never thought about even asking that question about events until I had a babysitter situation where I had to be at AHR for work. I had to be there. I'm contracted to be there, but then the symposium they were all together last year. So I almost had to bring my kid, and I realized that Brian Orr allows kids at the symposium because it's kind of a different overlook of that. So I was like, man, there's probably a lot of people that have this problem. I should probably get that out there. So now I always ask it about every event. Okay. So then the summit, let's just get into it. So Val and I got to go to the summit last year, thanks to Adam. And
it was a great time.
Yeah. It very quickly became probably our favorite event. Yeah. I say one of, but it's probably our favorite event. We had a lot of fun. We learned a lot. So for me, what it was is the setting, right? So like AHR is too big of a setting to learn shit. Let's just be honest. It's a great setting for other things, but for learning, it's really just not, it's not the one. And then like the symposium is amazing for learning, but all of your friends are there and it's such an intimate like situation. You're there to see your friends. You just are. Even if you're teaching, you're like, get me off the stage so I can go see my friends. And then kind of like, what else do we have? We have like excellence. Excellence is all about learning, but you kind of miss out on that, like hanging with your friends atmosphere. With NCI, it's literally, you've got the trade show part of it where like all the manufacturers are there already. And then you've got the intimate setting, you've got the awesome time with your friends. And then on top of that, you have these smaller classes that are super easy to learn in. And I had a blast. That was my absolute favorite. And my favorite part was the food, by far. What about yours?
Really good food.
Yeah, there's literally tables set up in the hallways, you guys, with like food on them. So if you get there like 5 minutes late and you don't have to worry about like you missed breakfast, like whatever, you can just go grab a croissant and run into the class that you're missing. It's amazing. What was your favorite part of last year's summit?
I'd have to say the training. There was just a lot of really good curriculum that to choose from, and it was amazing. Like I've been in this trade a long time, and I learned stuff that I didn't know, obviously, and it was hard to choose what I wanted to go into because like
that is hard.
There was just a couple of them at the same time. I was like, well, I really want to do both of these, but I had to choose one, and like, yeah.
I agree. I learned so much from Adam's class. I think Adam's class was my favorite, not just because it was Adam and I love being taught by Adam, but the class that he taught was so necessary. And I mean, he had already sent me down the rabbit hole of fan law 2 and like all these things that I was already learning. And then like I got to actually take his class in person, which is so from what I know, NCI has virtual training too, but like their bread and butter is in-person training, correct, Adam?
Yeah, most of our training is definitely in person. We do offer different things online. One class is airflow testing and diagnostics, and there's a couple others that pop in and out as well too. But most of it is going to be in-person training. So, and you know, we definitely, and it's not like we have a set schedule or like different areas where that's only where we teach. You know, if somebody wants us to come out. And we do private trainings for companies as well too. So we travel legitimately anywhere. Like we've gone up to Canada. I think there's been times where we go down to somewhere in the Caribbean. I can't remember where it was, but
I think Anthony Wu just did one in Quebec with you guys.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure, but yeah, no, it's pretty cool. Like, so if somebody has a big company, that will happen a lot of times. Like, cause it's like, if we're not set up to be, you know, to teach in your area, you could be like, hey, you know what? I have a company. I want you to teach all my guys, and we'll just show up at your place of business and we'll put on a class, you know.
That's amazing.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's really rare. It's really rare. So like usually if you're doing that, you're paying for like an individual consultant in like one area, you know, you're not paying an institution like NCI to come to you. You have to go to them. So like I'm moving. I should probably just do this. So there will be more information coming up. I'm not trying to blindside anybody, but I'm more than likely going to a new company. And it's not in Maine, and it is a massive national company with hundreds of companies underneath it as their training executive, their head of training. And yeah, so they have a training center, which I'm obviously not used to. I'm a virtual trainer, right? So it's going to definitely take some getting used to being in a center with iConnect units all around me and, you know, massive warehouse space and all this stuff. But in that process, my thoughts have been, how do we take one training program and encompass all the different parts of HVAC? Because as the king of trades, we have all these different areas that we have to be 100% skilled in all of them. We can't just leave one out, or we can't be so at any of them. And so my thought was, if companies like NCI partnered with companies like the one I'm going to, and we're able to train all of those smaller companies under them, then we have like a national standard, right? For like, this is high performance HVAC. So then you have NCI on the airflow side, maybe Measure Quick on the refrigerant side. Like if you just put them all, I was talking to Jim Bergman about this too, about doing this, because I just think it's so important now that we have established companies that are really good at training to get it out there to as many technicians as possible. And so that was my follow-up, Adam. If you are a company, we know you can go to NCI and you can like get there, you can be a member and get their training for your company. Can you do that as an individual?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Actually, I taught in Green Bay several months ago, and there were 2 people that drove in from out of town to take classes, and they paid personally. And it was because they're like, hey, we haven't seen you guys posting a class near me, so we just thought it would be, they thought it would be beneficial.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you could do that. So like if say like obviously in Maine, nobody's coming to Maine to teach anybody. But if you guys came to Boston or New York and like I was like, oh, they're in Boston or New York, I would be able to possibly purchase like a individual ticket and come and join their course.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep.
That is amazing. We should put that information in the coalition for sure. I didn't know you guys did that. That's why we do this. That's awesome. So Adam, going from and you didn't say this, so I'm sorry if I wasn't supposed to, but going from being an HVAC business owner, because you didn't say that, that's what you were. So like, yes, you're a technician for a million years, but also you owned a company, and that's a huge, that in itself is most people's end game, right? That's like, that's where we tap out in HVAC, but not you. You still found another step up from that to go. What has it been like going from business owner and like kind of focused on your own bubble to national trainer where you're focused on everybody's bubble? I always have so much admiration for you switching to that role, because I don't know that I can do it.
You give me way too much credit. Way too much credit. It was I mean, I don't think I've ever really enjoyed running a business. Like I don't consider myself a business person, like what I say all the time to people is they're like, what, forever for the last 20 years, they're like, what would be your ideal situation? Like if I could just go around and fix stuff on a daily basis, and then all my bills were just magically paid, I'd be happy with that. But like all the little nuances of business, I just didn't enjoy it, and like switching over, it was different, and it was weird getting up and talking in front of people, and it still is. But it's getting easier for sure. It's a little bit weird working from home, and like I've had to like I'm still learning, but I'm definitely getting better. But like I have. I mean, you could talk to Ty's in the chat. He's the one who we went through this whole thing, and he taught me about ADHD, and we went down this rabbit hole. I'm like, oh my God, I have ADHD. So
who would have thunk it?
What?
Squirrel.
So yeah,
we
so
couldn't
like that
tell Adam at all.
That was like whenever I had to do office work, it's like, oh, you got to do your insurance audit. So I have to sit in front of the computer for a couple hours, and then somebody would call me and be like, hey, I need help with this. I'm like, screw this, I'm out of here. I'm leaving. Because I would do anything I can to get away from the computer. And now like I'm in front of the computer all the time. So like I'm retraining myself to try to do something different. I know
what that's like.
It's cool though. It's definitely cool. One thing that I've been trying to do is every time I teach a class, I go back and I look at like how people reviewed the class and their scores on the exam. Right.
That's great.
And so I try to think about like, how could I maybe present things in a different way, in a better way to connect with people. And, so I could, try to get their understanding up a little bit higher and have them feel like they got more value out of the class, so it's different. And, my biggest idol in the world is Ty. Like he is the best ever at connecting with people and breaking things down. So yeah,
100%. Seeing Ty sit in my class at Excellence and take notes was like, I don't even know how I breathed after that. But it was a good class. It was about what you're talking about though, Adam. It was, and that is so important to me. And that's why I made that class. it's different. Like I've taught kids my whole life, right? So like usually you have kids of the same age group and generally the same skill level in a class with you. But when you get into adults, you don't have any control over their previous learning. You have no idea what their learning style is, and you don't know what their skill level is. And even if you do, even if you had an aptitude test for every student in your class, they're not going to match up equally. It's going to be all over the place. So like you said, trying to figure out how you can teach it, you can spin it in a different way for the next one, or even just try out a bunch of different ways. It matters. Those little things that you can tweak really, really matter. And they matter so much that it is infuriating when other teachers don't do that. They're just like, this is my style. This is how I'm going to teach every single time I teach this class, you know? And that's where people fall through the cracks too. They don't, and you can look back at those tests and that aptitude, and you can say, where are the gaps? Like after I've taught this class 4 times, why is everybody getting question 13 wrong? You know, like
exactly.
it's a really good idea to do it that way.
You know, like just try to connect, try to understand. And like there's something like called the curse of knowledge, where if there's like a topic that you really understand and you've understood it for a long time, you might not present it in a way that would be easy to understand for somebody else because you just get it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you have to assume,
skip over those parts, right?
Yes, exactly.
It's just like when you're talking to a homeowner, like for those of you not out here teaching a million HVAC guys, you know, it's just like when you're talking to a homeowner and you're trying to explain something technical that happened to their system, but you're using words like compressor failure. Even that is such a technical term for some homeowners. They will call that thing that's in their outdoor unit a pump or a motor. They don't know what a compressor is, even to that. So when you go even above that and you're like, your capacitor failed because your unit overamped, and you know, like they don't know what you're talking about, but we tend to do it. We tend to talk to them like we talk to each other. And that's really hard to break. I will say that's probably the hardest thing that I struggle with for sure. Yep. as a teacher on the teaching side. Val is a lot better at it.
Nice. Good job, Val. A little bit. I was gonna say Craig Migliaccio, like AC Service Tech, his books, like he does such a good job. And I know Ty had a hand in his newest book, but like he breaks it down too, so it's very understandable, and he's got nice illustrations. It's just he works so hard to try to help people. It's great, you know.
Yeah, we actually our weekly training this week today was one of Craig's videos on finding low voltage shorts. I had a couple of years ago a student that was really struggling with shorts, and you know how Murphy's Law is. So like the guy that shouldn't be working on shorts is the one who gets them every time. So he would call me like twice a week with another short on another RTU. And so I found this video that Craig had made, and I made him like a lesson plan out of it. And so I put that in the coalition today for just all of our students to take. And I will say that the amount of messages I've gotten this week, as opposed to the last 10 weeks, has been astronomical, just because Craig breaks it down in such a way that you're like, how did I not know that? How did I not know this about shorts?
Yeah. Recently what I did was actually the guy who bought my company, he had me coming in like Friday nights for a little bit, just doing like 1 or 2 hours of training for his guys. And the week, you know, for a week or two, we did electrical. And what I actually did was I built Craig's electrical trainer. And he made an illustration of the wiring diagram. And then what I did was we took all the wires off of it. And I edited out each line. So it's like one section at a time for the ladder diagram. And I had him go through like, do this. This is not too hard, right? And then you add another layer. Okay, now do this. And by the time you're done, there's like a million wires everywhere. And then like it suddenly works. And you start off with a lot of wires. You're like, you're going to do this. And I'm like, no way can I do that. I'm like, we'll see, you know? And he just does a great job. And he's got like little examples like that I wouldn't have thought of it.
Wholeheartedly. You know? Yeah. And I think he is so humble too. Like we all try to be humble, but like Craig is like, sometimes how humble he is makes it so that techs, when they're just like searching the internet, they don't immediately stumble on his videos. So like, I remember when I first started out, I had the worst boss in the fucking world. Let me just get that
It
out there.
wasn't me.
No. Luckily, Val was my lead, so Val was able to train me. But my boss was, it was bad. But anyway, so one day I had an electrical issue and I was by myself, and it was a time clock. So like those aren't very easy to work on to begin with. So I'm like, what am I gonna do here? So he says, I don't know, go on YouTube or something in your truck. So I did, and that day I found Craig. And I found all of his electrical videos. And I remember sitting there thinking to myself, like after the first hour, I should really go back in there and wire that because now I know how, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to sit here and watch all these videos. So I should have, if I had stumbled upon Craig months before that, I probably would have been all right that day. But it was so hard to find. Now it's easier since the books. He's a lot easier to find. But I just found that interesting that he's so humble that he kind of hides himself. But yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
I'll
never forget that day.
Yeah, that was bad. I was calling Val like, help, I'm so scared. And like the Chinese restaurant that I'm working in is like, are you okay? Like, no, I'm not. But yeah, so the other thing I wanted to talk about is I have never personally, I've heard a lot of stories about the HVAC overtime show, but I have never heard how it started. How do you, Chris, Joe, and Bill meet each other in the first place to become the HVAC overtime show? And I wanted to ask this before I wrote my article about you.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, if you can just even a little bit of backstory there would be super
it's like such a random crazy whatever. But yeah, so I met Joe through, and I don't know if you guys go back far, John and Danny, how have you guys been like big into YouTube for a while now?
A few years now.
Yeah, a few years.
Okay. There was a guy, like one of the original, there was like a handful of original HVAC YouTubers, and one of them is this guy from Louisiana. His name is John Israel.
John Israel. I knew you were gonna say that.
I don't know if you've ever seen him or seen his stuff. He's like wild. He's a wild dude.
Yeah.
But he used to do this like I think it was a Saturday. Yeah, Saturday night. I don't know. Friday or Saturday. He would do this like hangout thing, and him and a group of people would. Susie goes that far back. Susie was like, I think she was before the first overtime show. Like that was when yeah, exactly.
Susie's an OG.
But John he had a hangout kind of like what we're doing right now, but there was a big group of, a group of people, they were all talking back and forth. And I don't remember what it was, but John said he was talking about something and he said something. And I'm like, I was in the chat and I was just like, my wife's watching Desperate Housewives or whatever. And I'm sitting on my phone watching YouTube. And I just responded, I'm like, yeah, no, that's not totally correct what you just said. And John's like, he gets all mad. He's like, oh, I've been doing this for a long time. If it's not right, you should come in here and tell me why it's not right. And he like sent me a link. I'm like, all right.
I can see that.
So I went in there and Joe happened to pop up in there. And we started talking. I got his email. And we kind of hung around with John Israel for quite a while. We were doing like hangouts with John Israel. And then we met Zach. You know Zach from Shop Talk, yeah. HVAC Shop Talk.
Yeah, we love Zach.
So Zach, that's how me and Joe met. And then I met Bill started his own YouTube channel. And I think we invited him on like a hangout or something. And I met Chris because Chris had live streams and I had questions on like how to set up my audio. And I emailed him expecting that he would never respond, but he's like, hey dude, here's my number. Call me up and let's figure it out. So I started talking to him on the phone. And then one day I was like, hey, do you want to do like a live stream? He's like, yeah, that's cool. And then I remember it was, a couple of us. And then we were like, I'm like, I'm going to ask Chris if he wants to join overtime. And they're like, there's no way. He's got too big of a YouTube channel. There's no way he's going to do it. And I asked him, he's like, yeah, I'll do it. And that was it, So
it's just crazy the chemistry. Like now knowing that, it's crazy the chemistry you guys all ended up with meeting kind of like individually like that.
It was really weird.
I think I came into it when there was I feel like, and I correct me if I'm wrong for sure, because I don't remember super far back, but I feel like there was a falling out with John Israel. I feel like everybody was mad at John Israel when I came into this. Like something had just happened and I missed it, but I was like right on the heels of that, of whatever happened.
There was, I mean, I don't want to get into too many details, but there
No,
was like
definitely.
some stuff that happened with us and John. Like we've buried the hatchet.
Oh,
With
yeah,
John.
yeah.
I don't think John really gets on line too much
I
anymore.
haven't
don't
seen
know.
him in ages. Yeah. But I think it was right after that. I think it was right after you guys kind of, I don't know. I came in because of the drama. I was like, this is juicy.
Yeah.
I ended up staying for literal ever.
So overtime started on Shop Talk. Like we were part of the Shop Talk channel. Zach asked
I
us
didn't know
to
that
be,
either.
And then like we I don't remember what, like we weren't really the viewers weren't really growing all that much. And I remember he's probably Zach's gonna be pissed that I say this or whatever, but he's like, you guys don't get it together and start growing the channel, you know, I can't have you on here anymore. And then we all kind of just talk to each other. We're like, well, we're not gonna do anything different, so let's just quit.
In hindsight, looking back in hindsight at the sheer number of followers and viewers you have now.
Yeah, we've really like let off the gas though. Like now we don't post links to our shows until like 5 minutes before, and you know, we you know, it's kind of tapered off quite a bit in the last like year or so, but it's just
literally doesn't matter. It doesn't change.
You know,
it doesn't change your amount of live viewers. It hasn't really changed your amount of downloads, other than I think like if you have lost any, and I don't know if you have, but if you have, it's probably just because they don't know there was a new episode. You know what I mean? Like people are still very, very, in my research for the article I wrote, there has been no love lost there whatsoever. If anything, people are just like jonesing for more overtime.
It was weird. Thank you. But it was really weird, like, because I talked to these guys for several years before I met them. And the first time I ever met Bill and Chris was the weirdest thing. Like Bill is like 7 feet tall and he's just this huge freaking mountain man type guy. And then Chris is like 5 feet tall. And he's just and like we stayed in an Airbnb together, and I'm like, are these guys gonna freaking murder me? Like, I don't know anything about it.
Oh my God. I don't know about staying in an Airbnb with people the second I meet them, but I've done it. I've done it. Definitely done it. Especially with people in this industry.
Recently
like,
too.
Yeah, recently I have. Well, actually no, because I knew all of you except for I hadn't met you in person, Dan. Well, no, I had. I met you at Symposium several times. So no, I had already known.
You met me once before.
Where'd you guys?
You're
meet?
different, Johnny.
Tell the story about how you guys met.
So yeah, that's actually a great question. So it started out, well, obviously Val and I a million years ago, but then Jimmy and I met on TikTok, and we like 5-6 years ago roughly, and we were both in HVAC Army together, and Val too. And then HVAC Army dissolved because the leader's a piece of shit. And I will gladly say that out loud. And then we were Jimmy and I were kind of like an island, you know, we were kind of like the two that stuck together throughout everything. And I had HVA-Chicks going for a long time before that already, for like 4 years before that all happened. So Jimmy was kind of displaced, and he's like, you know, I just want to help out with HVA-Chicks, and we'll just move on from there. We'll just, you know, put all of our energy into this one thing. And so we did. So Jimmy ended up being my first volunteer staff member. So it was just Jimmy and I. We were running the tech support line alone together. After I did the tech support line all by myself for like 4 years. And then at some point, I think like 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, Johnny came in and was my first local student. So like I had never had a student on the East Coast even at that point. And that was back when I only had like
asking a question about guests. I was
yeah,
like, how do I get my gas license?
And so, and he was the only person, I mean, like, I would say even like closer than like 4 states away that I had ever had. And I mean, I only had 100 students at that point, 100 and something. So anyway, Johnny's just been with me, I mean, literally since day one. Like he was one of my
I was 3
students.
hours away. Now it's a little longer.
Yeah. Then he moved his ass to Florida because he's a snowbird. And then last year I was massively in the market for an assistant. Everybody kind of saw me melting down there publicly for a while.
No, we didn't.
And Danny came in and was like, I want to be your assistant. And I was like, I can't pay you. So, and Danny's like, I don't care. Let's do it. And so we ended up with a full staff of 5 people that are all volunteers, which is, it's hard to find one. So pretty incredible. And then when
I didn't know I was
dissolved,
staff right away, just by the way.
Yeah, I didn't give Johnny a choice.
I mean, I was more voluntold I was going to be your assistant. It's, hey, I need your help.
You called me when I was in the grocery store and you were like, I don't need you to pay me right now. And I was like, okay, here's your work. But then we ended up, applying for nonprofit. So we have that going right now. I took 2 full-time jobs so that I can eventually hire these guys full-time out of pocket, which is amazing. So yeah, a lot of changes are happening right now, but after Misfits dissolved, I really wanted to keep Misfits. I was very, very willing to get into the fight of my life if I had to keep Misfits. But the guys kind of rallied around me and were like, it's not going to be worth it. Like, we can do our own thing. You have the coalition. You already have a built-in following from Misfits. Like, this is worth it to do it. And our first episode, we had like 45 people here live, which was crazy because you know how it is, Adam. You're lucky to have 15, So we had like 45 people here live. And then we had a shit ton of listeners on Spotify on our first episode. So I was like, all right, they were kind of right. And here we are just running with it. It's been great. We wanted to change it. We wanted to change it from the typical, like what I had with Misfits, and just make it be no holds barred. So like sometimes there'll be an episode like Jimmy and Johnny did an episode that was a call-in episode where they used the tech support line and people called in and told service call stories, like funny ones, which was fucking hilarious. But the beauty of it is, and the biggest thing that we changed is that there are no hosts of this show. Well, there are none and a whole shit ton. So like
there's staff.
There's staff, right? So there's always a staff member on the show, no matter what. But we're not always the host. So like sometimes there'll be a random member that's a host that's never been on a podcast before, but they wanted to do this topic and they wanted to bring on this guest, and it's working out pretty well so far. So yeah, that's how this all got to be where it's at today.
Josh Abraham says stories.
Josh Abraham.
We need to do another one. And figure out.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Because that was rough.
Josh should come on and host it. Josh hosted an episode with Mac, I believe, at one point.
So
when are we coming out with HVA-Chicks brand coffee? We got to talk to Jim Bergman and see if he'll let us brand his coffee. That's actually what we're drinking right now. Jim Bergman roasts my coffee in his kitchen.
We still need staff shirts first.
Yeah, no. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, John.
I need Danny out of that shirt and into a staff shirt.
Fine, okay. I'll take the damn jersey off. Christ. All right?
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I'll take the jersey off.
You're fired. It's pretty bad when you get fired before you get hired.
Listen, I mean.
Josh, that won't happen. He had this all planned. He planned it all up.
Not at all.
I was going to say, how long has this been on your mind, Danny? That's hilarious. All right, Adam. So the last kind of thing that I wanted to cover, and I want to cover it in detail, is the summit. And like we kind of touched on it a little bit, but I really want to get people to this summit. And so like I don't really care that much most of the time. I'm just like, oh guys, AHR is here, symposium is here, like whatever, because I know that people either have the time or they don't.
Yeah.
I feel differently about NCI. I feel like if you have never been to an event, if you have been thinking about going to an event, but you're not really sure which one to go to for your first one, or you're just kind of like, feel like you might be left out a little bit, or maybe it's not go to the summit. The NCI summit, again, is my favorite event, but it is so easy. If you don't know anybody, you can walk into this summit and 10 people will come and grab you and be like, hey, come sit with me. Take this class with me. You can be like, I don't know what class to take. And 20 people will come and give you advice on that. The guys from NCI also are like actively walking around and talking to people and like helping people out with that stuff. Like I cannot stress enough that this should be your first one if you've never been to an event. I think that's really why I wanted to have Adam on the show tonight. So if you are a first timer, Adam, what is your advice for like, first of all, how do we get tickets? Second of all, if you haven't been to an event, why would the summit be a good one for your first one?
So you get tickets at gotosummit.com.
Okay.
So it is go
Is it
and then
number 2?
TO summit.com. And you could register there. But like, why would you want to go if you like for your first time? So like, there's different aspects. You could, if you are a technician, you could learn a lot. There's tons of different classes that you can go to, and there's some really cool ones, right? I'm really looking forward to. There's a panel with Ty. Ty's going to be there. He's going to be there representing Grit. Alex Mean is going to be there from Mean HVAC. So he's like, if you guys in the chat or anyone doesn't know Alex, you've probably been sleeping under a rock, but Alex was the head trainer from Right Soft for the longest time. He's like super brilliant.
He's taught me so much.
And along with, they're going to do him and Ed Janowak, the head trainer from, or that's not like their, I don't know their official title, so I apologize.
Yeah.
But Ed wouldn't care. I don't think Alex would care.
I think Ed is the head trainer for ACA. I mean, if you had to pick one,
he's like the training manager, I think is his official title or something close to that. But Ed is so smart when it comes to all the ACA design manuals. And Ed and Alex are going to do a tag team presentation there. So like, get the opportunity to learn and talk with some of these people. There's a lot of other great individuals and trainers that are going to be there as well. But like, all right, so that's the aspect of like a technician. But if you're a company owner, even if you're a small company owner, you are surrounded with, so like the whole idea of NCI is high performance HVAC. One thing I didn't mention, I thought about earlier when you said, what do you guys train on? Probably one of the biggest and most popular things is combustion and carbon monoxide. And like, we're like one of the head training organizations for that in the country. Right. But high performance HVAC, it's basically like taking measurements and proving performance. You're proving that what you're doing is making a difference. And you have all these different contractors and technicians from all around the country, all at different levels of their journey in becoming a high performance contractor. So you have guys that have just started 6 months ago, and then you have guys who have been doing it and they've been a member for 25 years. So like you sit with these people at tables and you talk to them and you ask them advice. How do I get from point A to point B? How do I do what you've already done? And everyone is very welcoming and they share their journey. And and another cool aspect of it is once you sign up for Summit, you have the ability, we do a once a month, it's kind of it's not really a webinar, but it's kind of like a bunch of different contractors and then a couple guys from NCI get together and we review different steps of their journey and everyone kind of brainstorms together. How could I do this better? Oh, I do this. And like, oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to start doing that. So it's like a collaboration type deal that everyone gets together once a month on a live video call and just helps each other out. Yeah.
And they do that. They do that in person at the summit too. There was like breakout sessions and there was what is the thing that they do? It's like an idea tank or something and you can win it.
Yeah, like there's like it's like a raffle type deal. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. You like come up with an idea for something that like could be implemented or, that NCI could take on or that a contractor could do or whatever. And if you have the best idea that wins, you actually win a prize. Like it's pretty cool. What I love too. So like, just kind of like branching off what you said, Adam. So for those of you who don't know, what are we talking about when we say high performance HVAC? It's just what Adam said, but also there are guys who have been in this trade for 40 years. Like Val had been in this trade 20 something years before, I got in and we learned what high performance HVAC was. He was a killer HVAC technician. He didn't know that things like True Flow Grid, Measure Quick, like NCI, like these things existed. And so if you are kind of in your own bubble as an HVAC technician and maybe your company hasn't come up to speed yet, this is a perfect place to go to get that introduction to high performance HVAC because it's not just NCI, it's not just Measure Quick, but all of these and truthfully, the Energy Conservatory, they're all in one place and they're all right there willing and ready to talk to you about what your next steps are. And like Adam said, contractors too. I know that last year was my first summit. And I remember the first impression I had was during the opening keynote speech. I think it was Dave Richardson, maybe.
Brian Orr.
I know Brian did one, but there was one that was by Dave or by somebody from NCI at some point while we were there. But what he did was he had this one guy stand up in the crowd. And I guess this guy had like been with NCI for decades. And I mean, this is a contractor who owns a company, and all his guys were like around him. And he kind of stood up and introduced himself and told everybody why he thinks they should be there. And like, that hit me. It hit me super deep in the chest, because usually when you go to these events, those aren't the people you're talking to. You're talking to manufacturers. You're talking to people who are trying to sell you things, or, you know, some people who have an ulterior motive to you being there. But with the NCI Summit, it's for contractors to do a better job. You really can't spin that in a way that you're a consumer. You know, they're just there to make sure that you're doing a better job. And when you see all these guys that have been doing this for decades and it's your first summit, you really get like this itch. Like, I want that to be me someday. So for me, that was why I think it should be everybody's first. If you're going to pick one, I would pick this one for sure. And again, you have access to people, not just,
that's what I was going to say. Like, if there's something you don't understand and you're like, nobody should ever be embarrassed to ask questions and to like, you know, come out and say, I don't get this. But if it's like, hey, there's something that I just don't get and I want to wrap my head around it, whatever. It's so cool, because legitimately there will be no topic in HVAC that cannot be answered at the summit by somebody. Like, there's like, I don't know nearly close to, I'm only still scratching the surface of HVAC, but there's some of the most brilliant minds in the world that are going to be there.
For sure. I actually had an experience like that. Val and I did. Val, I don't know if you remember this. When we were sitting at one of the Measure Quick classes, we were in the front row, and John Esquivel was there, and a bunch of us were in this one class, and Joe Madosh was teaching it. And I had a guy sitting next to me, and it was a Measure Quick class. So, I mean, pretty basic for me, but not for everybody else that was in that class. And the guy sitting next to me said, hey, can I ask you a couple of questions while they're on break? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And he's like, so I just started my company like a year ago, and I didn't even know Measure Quick existed. I only heard about NCI because another company told me they use them, and like, whatever. This was his first event by far, but not only was it his first event, it was his introduction to the whole other side of HVAC. So he's like, as a company owner, like, I know you just said you own a company. So like, as a company owner, how can I implement this, and why do I implement this? Because if you're just in the class, you're learning how to use it. You're not learning why it's important, right? And Val and I were able to sit with this guy and just use that class time, like 10 minutes of that class time, to explain to him, this is how you use Measure Quick. This is why you use Measure Quick. And he had just hired a helper who was supposedly like 10 years in the trade, but he has no way of knowing whether this guy is skilled in what he's supposed to do, other than if he has Measure Quick. And I explained to him, he can use that for that. The ACA certificates had just come out, so I was able to tell him, like, these add value to your service calls and like your installs. It was probably one of the best experiences I've had, because it was so organic. It just happened because I happened to be sitting in one of those classes. So that is definitely, I never would have even thought of that moment until you just brought that scenario
That's
up.
awesome.
So
I mean, it's definitely awesome. And I see, like, I could see why, you know, that person, like, sitting in that class, having that conversation, seeing all the things that go into using Measure Quick. And, you know, there's all these different things like smart probes and, you know, True Flow Grid and all these different tools and procedures and this and that, and doing load calcs and residential design and all these things. And it, like, it's tough. It adds a lot. It's like it's like overwhelming. And if you're like a person that's like, hey, you know what? I've been charging the beer can cold forever. Or I just pay attention what my PSI is. And like, what am I, like, what's the point of that? It's like, it blows your mind, but like, there's so much more. There's so many great people that you could like learn from, and like much more money to be made. Like, you know, and that's why I always find it funny, because like, if you have a technician that goes out, and there's companies, there's like, I don't think there's a lot of them, but there are definitely companies that are deceitful when they go out and run a service call, and they'll make something up. Hey, this is the problem, this or that. And it's like, if you sharpen your pencil, if you learn and you take the time to learn, you never have to
You don't
lie
need to
about
do that.
anything. Never, because there's always something wrong with everything. Like every
Yeah.
single time. It's freaking and it's just like taking yourself to the next level. And it's difficult and it's painful, but it's worth it. That's
I know for me, it was when I first, so Dave Richardson in that same speech had talked about taking little nuggets, right? Do you remember that? He was like, take the little golden nuggets out of each person you talk to. And so I'll never forget that, first of all, because that's exactly what you're saying. Like, you can't implement all of this at once. And that's what I told the kid. I was like, it'll blow your mind and you will quit HVAC if you try to implement all of this at the same time. Just take your little things that seem the most important and do it. But for myself, when I first found out about high performance HVAC, when you were kind of walking me through it, I remember going back, and like even today, it happens all the time, looking back and going, how much money did I leave on the table? And also, how much of a fucking idiot did I sound like? I'm like, oh, no, the size of your ducts doesn't matter, lady. Thinking back, I'm like, how did I ever say that? How did those words come out of my mouth? But that's what happens when you really dig in and you're, like you said, sharpening your pencil and you're just don't try to do it all at once, because you'll either beat the shit out of yourself for a really long time or you just won't be able to successfully implement it. My advice is definitely go to the summit is a great place for that, because like Dave Richardson said, right there at the summit, take the little nuggets. Don't try to do it all at once. And like, you'll take one class and you'll find 5 things that your company's missing. And then you'll go to your next class, so
take notes, bring a freaking notebook,
yes.
record,
and they give you one.
Yeah. Take notes, do whatever you can. But like, so David's going to be presenting, and David's brilliant. David's my boss. Nice. He's like such a smart guy. He knows so much about everything. He's lived it for so long. Last year, and I'm sure everyone here probably has heard of him, but Jim Davis, right? Jim Davis is like the godfather of combustion. He's like the guy with the funny haircut that he's written a million articles and you've seen pictures of him. You're like, man, is that picture from like 1970? No, it was from like last year.
Yes, his wife is amazing too. His wife does not get enough clout, man. She takes care of him like I've never seen before.
Yeah, no, he's a great guy. He really can't. He has like some health issues right now. He's getting older, so like he didn't present last year, but he made it to the awards assembly or the awards banquet or whatever, and they renamed an award for Jim, and they they brought him out, and the whole place went up, and it was like a standing ovation. There was like a couple hundred people, 250 people just erupted into an applause for Jim, and it was amazing because like Jim, we tried to nominate him for the legendary HVAC award or whatever through the news, and unfortunately he didn't win. But like I can guarantee you that Jim is responsible for saving more lives with HVAC than anybody else in the world.
And just like Ty just said right here, Jim Bergman learned combustion from Jim Davis. And so think about how many guys do get that legendary title, and they all learned from Jim Davis.
Yeah.
Crazy. Jim Davis is one of my idols for sure. He's right up there with Harvey Kaplan and, all the different greats. But if you guys don't know who Jim Davis is, we have some of his trainings posted in the coalition. I had talked to his wife last year about being allowed to use them. She was totally fine with it. But if you go to Summit, you'll probably meet him. He, like Adam said, he wasn't doing super well last year, but he did come and he was there. But again, you could be sitting at his table for lunch and that's the brain you're picking just while you eat your chicken. Like I love the Summit. I love the Summit, man. I can't even imagine all the times I was just sat next to somebody and I like had to do a double take. Like, am I really sitting next to you right now? But with Alex and Ed doing a class, I'm there. Like that right there is enough to pay for your ticket. That is enough information in one class to pay for your ticket. So again, we posted you guys the ticket link in the chat. I will make a post tomorrow that gives some of the information about the summit and where it's going to be and all that, and the dates and where to get your tickets again. And if you have any questions, just reach out to Adam because I'm offering him up to you.
Yeah,
So I can do that.
I'll leave my email. Actually, you could email me.
That'd be great. That'd be really awesome. And I'll tag you in that post too, Adam. And then if they just want to message or comment on Facebook too, to you, if they have just a question, that would be helpful. I just don't want to give the wrong answers. I tend to do that.
It won't let me.
But we will be at the summit. My birthday is September 10th. I got to spend my birthday at the summit last year, and I get to spend my birthday at the summit this year. Super excited. And the year before that was TEC.
I really want to do the zip lines.
The zip lines. Oh, in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hotel that they had it at last year in North Carolina had the zip lines. And we should actually just mention that real quick.
Come on, Danny. Don't shake your head.
Listen, guys.
I am built 5'4" for a reason. I do not go that high in the air.
Danny does not do heights. You know this.
Nope.
I know.
Danny doesn't do escalators. Okay.
I know.
But last year, 1,000 HVAC people skated out of a massive flood in Asheville a week before it hit, which is absolutely insane to me. I cannot get over the fact that my Airbnb from the summit last year no longer exists. The road it was on no longer exists. It was wiped right off the map. I had a helicopter go up there and check. It was insane. Like the Airbnb owners couldn't find their house, and we found it at the bottom of the mountain. So something out there was really on all of our side to allow us to have perfect weather, first of all, a perfect time, perfect temperature, and just a beautiful, amazing summit. And it was kind of the last event that ever took place in that area before it got absolutely destroyed, which is just fucking crazy to me. I can't get over it. I'll never get over it. But yeah. Oh, hi, Brett. Here you go, Adam. Brett's here.
I didn't actually, I went upstairs to like comb my hair, and I just looked in the mirror. I'm like, I don't care.
I'm liking Adam's hair lately.
Some of us are a little envious of his haircut, okay?
I know, right? Adam used to shave his head a bunch too, and now he doesn't as much.
I was actually considering doing that again. I don't know.
Val did it again. He grew his out like Viking braids style and just shaved it all off.
I had to shave head for like 20 years straight, and then all of a sudden I have hair. I don't know. I'm rethinking it.
Well, you were in a band, right? Yeah. Guys, Adam was in a band. What did you play, Adam?
Bass guitar.
Insane. Adam's a bass player, guys. Like there's just little secrets hidden about Adam all over the place. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and call it. Thank you so much for coming on, Adam. Like we could do this for 3 fucking hours with you, honestly. But I really just wanted this summit is really important, and it's really important to me, and it's really important to HVA-Chicks as well. So I really just want to make sure that the problem isn't people not knowing about it, that's the furthest thing from an issue. So if you guys talk to other people, if you have, mentors from HVA-Chicks Coalition, talk to your mentees, make sure they know about the summit. There is a scholarship program as well, right, Adam? We have the link, I think, posted in the coalition.
Yes, there is.
Got a couple of scholarships. Val got it last year. I got a scholarship last year, thanks to Adam. But yeah, so just talk to your mentees, make sure that they know about it. Make sure that they know that if they're looking for a first one, when it comes to an introduction to high performance HVAC, that they understand that this is the one that we recommend for that. And just get them to Austin. And the other thing is last year was in North Carolina, which is a lot less populous than Austin, Texas. And kind of all the people that were like, oh man, I wish I could go. We're in Texas. So now is the time. If they're going to get there, it's this one. So talk to your mentees. If you have other companies that you are consulting for, we have a lot of consultants and we have a lot of company trainers. Please talk to those companies and let them know about the summit. And if anybody has any questions for us, message a staff member or comment to Adam and we'll get you that info. Thank you for coming on, Adam.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course. Always, always. All right, Johnny, Danny. I'm going to hit the button. And if it doesn't take us out, whatever, we rock out.
Oh boy.
We'll make some weird faces.
Sweet.